a ticking time bomb. At Young and Flourishing Hub, we seek to turn these numbers into an opportunity for Africa to become a global leader. Join us every Monday from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. only on Church of Uganda Family TV, as we take you through the discussion of different topics that will enable you to become world-class leaders and mentors, grow your finances, and become world-class innovators. Young and Flourishing, transforming Africa. With 200 million people aged between 15 and 24, Africa has the youngest population in the world. This can either be an opportunity or a ticking time bomb. At Young and Flourishing Hub, we seek to turn these numbers into an opportunity for Africa to become a global leader. Join us every Monday from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. only on Church of Uganda Family TV, as we take you through the discussion of different topics that will enable you to become world-class leaders and mentors, grow your finances, and become world-class innovators. Young and Flourishing, transforming Africa.
It is indeed. It's the reason we are here this evening. I know it is a cold morning to all of you who are around Kampala and the neighboring districts, but here we are with Flourishing Hub. Yes, we know that life is hard. Economy na fe tugiraba, life is really hard. Fuel prices are high, commodity prices are high, and this has become a song. Last week, the president addressed the nation, and he told us it is high time we adjusted to the new normal. And what was the new normal? If our fuel prices are high, we are now going electric. Now, as young people, should we sit back and start crying and keep on crying? For how long shall this song end? For how long shall we sing this song of government Yetuyambe? It is the reason Flourishing Hub is here. This program is brought to you by Young and Flourishing Foundation. It is aimed at equipping you with the right mindset so that you can thrive through this world without complaints, without accusing people for not helping you, but helping you to be your own helper, giving you the right mindset to be your own CEO. Have you studied? Have you failed to get a job? You can be your own boss. It is the reason Flourishing Hub is here. With me, Adrian Austin Mukalazi. And it's a pleasure to have you seated right there watching us. This evening, we are delighted to have these gentlemen. Wow. They didn't mind whether it has rained or not. They are right here. They came through this cold weather, and here we are with them. We are delighted to share in their space. They're going to share with us on a very sensitive and fruitful topic this evening. We have Mr. Businja Gerard, who is the CEO, Upkeep Constructions Limited. And just my neighbor here is Mr. Namara Alan, who is the Field Operations Manager, Soliton Telmac Field. And we are delighted to have you. Thank you so much for persevering. You know, the Archbishop told us to persevere amidst all challenges. So you persevered amidst the coldness, the rain, and you're here right to impact knowledge into a young person watching, because this is the vision of Young and Flourishing Foundation. I'll start with Mr. Businje. Greet our viewers, and then we shall get into our discussions today.
Thank you so much, Edwin. Yes. It's a pleasure to be here. Good evening, viewers, and I appreciate Family TV for hosting us. It's a pleasure indeed.
Yeah.
I work with Upkeep Construction Limited as the MD or CEO, where we do building construction, we do renovations, we do painting, we do block work, we do tiling, and all sorts of building construction. We are general building contractors, ranging from residential buildings, commercial buildings, industrial buildings. I'm grateful to be here, looking forward to a fruitful discussion. Thank you.
Wow, this is so interesting. Mr. Namara.
Yes.
Yeah, kindly greet our viewers, then we shall dig into today's topic.
Yeah, good evening, viewers of Family TV.
Yeah.
Thank you, Edwin, for this opportunity to be here at Family TV. I'm looking forward to our discussion that we're going to delve in. My name is Alan Namara. I work with Soliton Telmec Uganda Limited. It's a fiber optic company, and I also run a construction company as my brother Gerald. Basically, we focus on kitchen fittings, bedroom fittings, granite tops, that is kitchen tops, and landscaping.
Okay.
And I'm very glad to be here.
Yes.
Looking forward to a very, very good discussion.
Sure. You know, every season people receive gifts, and previously people received gifts on Easter, on Christmas, on Eid, on whichever day, Valentine. But surprisingly, people don't keep these gifts. Some of these gifts are flowers, but some writers said a book is a gift you can open again and again. It is the reason we have these gentlemen here. We are going to discuss the values and the benefits of reading. So don't go anywhere. Just keep it at Church of Uganda Family TV. I believe by the end of this program, your life will have been enriched, fully enriched. So we want to first of all understand the term reading, because it is broad and various people have different interpretations of the word reading. So I'll start with Alan. According to you, what is reading?
I'll start with a quote from George Martin. A reader lives 1,000 lives, and a man who does not read lives one. So through reading, we get information. So I would define reading as an act or process of getting information. So briefly, that is what reading is.
Okay. So Gerard,
Yes,
what is reading according to you?
reading, according to me, reading is a process of getting letters that have been put together and making sense out of them. So from the letters that have been put together, we form words, and then from words we have punctuation marks, we have commas, we have different like spacing that are put together to form words. Then we form paragraphs, and then later we form sentences and more.
And chapters and books.
And books.
Oh, wow. So this is reading, and we are laying a foundation for our topic today because we want to get into the benefits of reading. Like Gerald has said, that this is the process of, you know, gathering. We start with letters, then we get to marks, then we get to sentences, then to paragraphs, and all that process. Why would someone even bother to do all that? It is the reason we are here. So let us first of all look at the readers, because everyone thinks they are readers. When I buy my newspaper in the morning and I read a sentence, I call myself a reader. Another one will read a sentence, they'll also call themselves a reader. So what are some of the types of readers? Gerard?
Yeah, thank you, Edwin. We have different types of readers. The first type of reader is a partial reader. And it's on a side note that these are the majority of the readers that we have. Partial readers are readers who pick a book. They never finish a book. They pick up a book, perhaps read a few pages, and then put it aside before they start longing for another one, pick up another one, then put it aside, then pick up another one, put it aside. You'll find they have picked about 5 books, read a few pages. Sometimes they can go maybe about half a book, but they never complete these books.
There is a personality trait that is attributed to such a character. Someone never concentrates on one thing. So as they're reading this title, they realize this title is better. So they cover this and open another title. Should we attribute partial readers to that, or it is something different?
No, it is something different. Actually. Yeah, it is something different. I think it all gets back to, you know, it's a mindset issue.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not a personality issue. Yeah, because we have different personalities, just as you say. You find we have sanguines, we have melancholies, we have cholerics, we have cholerics. But all these personalities, we have many of them who read. So it can't be because a sanguine will read and finish a book. A melancholy will read and finish a book. A sanguine will read and finish a book. So it all stems from the mindset of someone. Yeah, it needs focus. It needs determination to read and complete a book.
Okay.
Yeah. So either personality can read and complete a book.
Those are partial, because people have a tendency of always accusing. Okay, I would have done this, but if I wasn't this. So you've now made it clear. No excuse. Everyone can read.
Absolutely.
And okay. So those are partial readers. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah, but those are partial readers. Then we have also series readers. Now, series readers, these are people who read series. By the time they begin to read a book, they already must have other volumes in line to follow what they are reading. So they can't begin to read a book if there is nothing else to come to read. So they don't want to finish a book and then they are there. In other words, it's connected to more volumes of books. Just like the way we know some of these people who enjoy watching, these series, the watchers now. Let's leave the reading.
Yeah.
There are people who completely like series because they are always excited about the volumes that will come, how it will all end. So that's also another type of reader.
Okay, Alan.
Yes.
What types of readers can you talk about besides the partial and the series?
I'll talk about basically the polygamists and the rereaders. Polygamists. These are readers who read several types of books. I could read a self-help book today. Tomorrow I'm into comic books. The other day I'm into fictional books, technology books, science and fiction. It could be thriller books. It could be a polygamist is interested in several types of books. And there are people who are only interested in one type of book. You find me, I'm only interested in self-help books, which means I'm looking at improving myself only through self-improvement. But polygamists, they basically focus on several types of books, which could be different topics. It could be a self-help book. Let me say now, like a book I have here with me, which is by T.D. Jakes, SOA, which is a self-help book. Then he could look for a comic book, which is maybe a Marvel sort of science fiction. Then I could look for a thriller, maybe a book like on history, which is like maybe the history of Africa or the history of any other tribe, maybe in Uganda. I could also focus on a technology book, let me say rockets or airplanes, how maybe. So those are polygamists. Then the rereaders are people who read a book and read it again. Like before, when I read a book and I like it, I reread it. I don't put it away and go to another book. I first, let me say I've picked this book. After covering from page to page, cover to cover, I will pick it up again in 1 month.
What brings that? Is it because the book is interesting, or it's because you've not been satisfied by what you want to achieve out of reading this book?
I would say both. A book can be interesting, that is one, and the other thing is I'm not satisfied with probably I've not. There are people who are deep readers. Like I want to go into the book and understanding page to page. Okay. So I will read the page cover to cover, page by page, until I pick all the information I would love to pick from a book. So I will read it until I'm satisfied. Okay. Yes.
Well, that brings me to something important. You've talked about these categories of readers or the types of readers, but now the question is, why would someone read a book? Alan, give me at least around 3 reasons as to why someone should read a book, and then we shall go into a break.
Yes. I would basically say, personally, I'll read a book for self-improvement. That would be one reason, or one benefit. I would read a book. These books have a lot of knowledge that has been put into this through different people's perspectives and through people's experiences. A certain man will have lived a life and will document it. Let me give an example, a biography. Yeah. Let me say Adrian has lived 80 years. Then he documents 80 years of his life, which means if I pick up Adrian's book, I'm trying to learn from his experiences. As a TV host, if I'm interested in being a TV host, to improve myself, to learn from Adrian, I'll pick up his biography and read his book so that I can learn, improve myself. Yeah. That is one reason or a benefit of reading. Then the second benefit of reading, it is basically some of us read for pleasure, just to enjoy a book. Like, let me say, I was talking about history, I was talking about comic books, I also talked about science and fiction. So I would read, let me say, for comic books, most times it is for pleasure, like follow the story, which is it's a science fiction. Let me say, if you're a fan of Marvel or DC comics, you find you're following a book on Superman. So I read that for pleasure. So basically, those would be the two benefits of someone who would want to read.
Okay. Jared, I don't want to tickle you because it will be short. We want to have more of you. And at this point, let us take a short commercial break. When we come back, we shall continue with the discussion. Don't go anywhere.
With 200 million people aged between 15 and 24, Africa has the youngest population in the world. This can either be an opportunity or a ticking time bomb. At Young and Flourishing Hub, we seek to turn these numbers into an opportunity for Africa to become a global leader. Join us every Monday from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. only on Church of Uganda Family TV, as we take you through the discussion of different topics that will enable you to become world-class leaders and mentors, grow your finances, and become world-class innovators. Young and Flourishing, transforming Africa.
Literacy is a bridge from misery to hope. Yes, we know you're going through a lot of misery, but how will you get this hope if you do not have the literacy? And where is the literacy? Just sit where you are. We are discussing the values and benefits of reading. And before the commercial break, Alan had actually told us that one of the benefits is self-improvement. How will you improve yourself if you don't read? If you don't want to know what others have done to be who they are? Wow. This is an interesting topic. It is an interesting conversation that you don't need to miss. I thank you so much that your eyes are still on Church of Uganda Family TV. And Gerald, we are now back to you. We wanted to get unwholesome discussion before the commercial break. So we are looking at the benefits of reading. Why should someone will ask themselves, why should I read? Maybe these people who write books to make money, to earn money out of them. That is why we have to buy them. If they wanted us to read, they would have given them out free of charge. So people would ask themselves, why should I read in any way?
Yeah. Just like you've said, it is true. There are some people actually who write books to make money. And there are some who write books just to enrich people's knowledge and improve people's lives, just like Alan said. And there are so many reasons why people write books. And one of the reasons is some people write books because they want to, statistics show that 69% of the employers, they want to employ workers with soft skills. And so reading a book, it enables one to acquire some of these soft skills. And so some people have looked at this and wanted to write a book to enrich people with these soft skills. And so you realize that with reading a book, there are so many things that you acquire from them. One of them is your vocabulary. Yeah, your vocabulary. You are enriched with vocabulary, with the words. Because as you read the books, you are interacting with the different words from the book. Sometimes you look them up, and so as you continue to read and looking up these books, you realize that looking up these words, you realize that you keep picking new words, and so these in so doing, in the process, you find like your vocabulary is being enriched.
Yes.
Yeah. And so there are also other soft skills, like for example, you'll pick a book on negotiation. And once you read, negotiation is a skill. Once you pick a book on negotiation, you've read it, so you've acquired a skill in negotiation. And of course, you have to reach out and practice this skill. Yeah. And the other thing is about books is a benefit is it gives you an opportunity to travel into a life of another person. So it makes you empathetic. Because once, if you write a book and I'm able to read your book, I'm sort of like traveling in your life. I'm looking your life journey. So I feel the way you feel as I read your book. So the more books I read, the more I will learn to deal with people. The more I will learn to handle people, how are people handled. So if I read your book, Edwin, if I read Alan's book, so I will get to know how the different two of you, how you differently, live your lives. And so if I can't relate with you, I will know from which point I should be relating with you. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Alan, any addition on the benefits?
Yes. In addition to Gerard's discussion on empathy, one time I read a book called Not Once But Twice. This lady was having cancer and she was healed not once but twice. So reading her story of how she fought cancer, of how she went through the cancer journey, treatments, how tough it is, it gives you a picture of how life through her eyes has been lived, which has been written down now into a book. And if you're to relate to someone, or maybe you have a family member going through the same pain, you have that empathy. You know, let me say now, as you discussed before, like the economy is not good enough.
Yes.
Now, you would know that some people are going through hardships. And when you've related to different people, or you've read such texts where you identify with someone who has been through a certain difficult path, it gives you this empathetic personality or empathetic feeling, like you are identifying with someone through their journey. And the other one is we get exposed through reading books. I have not been to United States of America, but the books I've read on United States of America, it's as if I am there. So I travel through cities, I travel through Japan, I travel through China, through these books. If I read Jack Ma's book, I will know about China's economy, China's business environment without being there. If I read a Jeff Bezos book or an Elon Musk book, I will learn about things in maybe USA that I wouldn't have learned if because I'm in Uganda. If I haven't seen that book or have not read through that text, what these guys, so we travel through different worlds or different countries through books also. So another benefit of reading a book, to me, it would be connections or networking. I've met several people through book clubs. I think it's a point that we shall expound on. So through book clubs, you get to meet people, new people you didn't know. A few are friends, and new people get added on the book club as time goes by. So you get to know new people through reading books, because probably you're discussing these books. As you finish a book, you discuss a book. So you connect with people. These same people become business partners. These same people become friends, and they become close. So to me, networking is another big benefit someone would reap from reading. So I would encourage everyone to actually pick up this habit, because as I mentioned earlier, a reader lives 1,000 lives through reading, and a person who doesn't read will just live none. So it is.
When you talked about networking, you reminded me of the discussion we had a couple of weeks back, when one of the guests told us that if you want to be patriotic, sometimes you cannot be patriotic if you can't read, because a lot of information has been written down about our country, about how you can be patriotic. But if you don't read this information, you might not be patriotic. And I'm realizing that, and this is really connected to networking, because sometimes when you read, you can come to know how things are done in Kenya, how patriotic patriots in Kenya behave, how patriots in South Africa behave. Do they do what we do here? And if not, what can we do? Wow, this is so interesting. So,
something to
yes,
something to add,
yes, Jared.
On what Alan has said, I remember we had a discussion with a friend. A friend was telling me about a certain guy he wanted me to know, and then he told me the name. I said that I think you need to check out on this guy. I said, I'm sure I can do that. So I wrote down the name, went on all his social media pages, read up all the posts that he had put down. Because you see, when you're writing on any social media page, maybe let me say Facebook, because people have used Facebook much more. Yeah. So you find like, for example, you're in this room, sometimes you may be sad, sometimes you may be happy, sometimes you may be in whichever state you can be in. And so the state you're in is the state within which you will write a message. So if I'm able to read over 10 of your posts, I'll be able to pick how you at least function or work. So by the end of reading up this guy on internet, I had already picked exactly how this guy behaves, how he thinks, and how he perhaps does things. And when I began to talk to my friend again about this guy, I'll tell him, I think this guy is like this. Be like, yeah, that's how he is. Be like, I think he would do this. He said, yeah, but I got this from just reading him out. And also something that maybe people may not know is, especially in this current generation where information is accessible anytime from anywhere. Now people who are employers, most of them will look up you on media.
True.
You've come, you're seeking for a job, maybe you've dropped your CV. What they will do is they will just pick up your name, get to the different social media platforms you subscribe to, read you up, and then they will be able to judge whether they can employ you or not.
Wow. So I imagine we have something on WhatsApp of forwarding whichever message you get, and this shows sometimes you receive some messages and you're like, how I wish this person had read through this message before sharing it. They wouldn't have shared it. They would have either kept it in their inbox or even deleted it. But because someone doesn't read, they'll just share it, and before they realize the message wasn't appropriate, it has already gone to very many platforms and groups. And wow. So we want now to look at the types, because we talked about the types of readers, and we broke them down. Now I want to talk about the types of reading. So what are these types? Because like we said earlier, that very many of us think what we do is reading. And when I get my book, I open page by page, I think I'm reading. Some of us read for pleasure, but some of us read because we want others to see us reading. So you sit in a taxi, there is jam, you open this book, you don't even know which chapter you're reading, you just open and start reading. But because you want to attract other people's attention. Well, let us talk about the types of reading. Alan, what are some of the types you can talk about?
By a story of someone in a taxi reading a book, yes. I like to say that a journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step. Even when someone is actually pretending, he's trying to get there. So reading is a skill that you develop. So you may not be an ardent reader, or you develop this skill in one day, but as you, in your pretense, with time actually you will love to read, because you
so the pretense will come and you will become an addiction, and then
yes,
switch.
Because I would think that at one point you land on a book that actually will captivate you, and actually you say, oh, actually these books are nice. Let me get another one. Let me get another one. So every time you find now you're actually interested in reading. Like most of us definitely in school, it was always hard. Sometimes you find, why am I reading for this paper? But yes, reading is a skill that you can develop. So the type of readings, types of reading that we're going to discuss today is one would be intensive reading. So intensive reading is where you go in detail about a specific topic or a book. You're looking for information in detail. So if I am, let me say you're researching for a given, your research assistant, or your job is maybe to do research, you will go in depth because you're looking for information about a certain topic. If it is malaria, if you're a scientist, a research scientist, you're looking for information on malaria, which means you're going to read several books intensively on malaria, types of mosquitoes. How is malaria spread around? How do mosquitoes breed? So that is intensive reading. Then extensive reading. Extensive reading is basically reading extensively, as the word is, as in I could read a novel, I could read a newspaper, I could read tweets, I could read, you're reading several things extensively, as in you're not specific about what you're reading, as in, as we said, pleasure, you could be reading for pleasure, you're here and here. So basically those are two types of reading. I'll talk about the rest. Gerard can discuss.
Yeah, Gerard, you can discuss with for us the other types of reading.
Okay, thank you. The other types of reading, we have skimming. Yeah, skimming, you're basically getting a general overview of from a book or from whatever you're trying to read. And I'll relate this to maybe the times we are in school and you're preparing to do an exam, and you know that rush hour. You pick out the book and you know that 90 time and you're rushing through, you're skimming because you're trying to just get a general overview. So that by the time, you may assume that you're going to pick everything. That's maybe what the mind will tell you, that you're going to pick everything. You get the book, you rush through, so that you may get into the exam, and then you're able to do the paper. Yeah, that's one of the types of reading. And then the other one is scanning. Yeah, scanning is not any more different from skimming. There's slightly some difference though. Yeah, though for it you're looking at specific facts. Yeah, you're looking at specific facts. For example, you may pick a book. Let me say you may pick a book on maybe the 5 a.m. club, like a club that we belong to, and you basically want to read a topic. A topic may be about how to maybe keep strong amidst challenges. And that's what you'll go for. And then you read specifically, you zero down on that. And maybe sometimes you read only that and you put aside the book. Okay. Yeah. So it's just slightly different from.
So gentlemen, Alan and Gerard, someone said if you want to hide information from an African, put it in writing. Why do you think Africans don't want to read? Alan, I'll start with you.
The tides are changing. With time, of course, things will have changed, because as generations go by, as we improve our reading culture, it is something, I said, reading is a skill we all learn with time. I think one reason I would say why we don't read a lot, specifically, let me say Uganda. Basically, it's because the upbringing would be one of the other reasons I would say is the biggest cause of why we don't read a lot. We grew up in homes where probably there is no single book. Our parents are always running up and down to look for food, look for school fees. So you find this small skill is not built in a child from what go. Because if I grow up while my mother or father is not reading, most likely I won't pick up that habit easily.
So a parent out there, ask yourself, do you have a single book that your children can look through, or have you been an inspiration to them to adopt reading? We are taking shortly a commercial break. We shall be right back.
With 200 million people aged between 15 and 24, Africa has the youngest population in the world. This can either be an opportunity or a ticking time bomb. At Young and Flourishing Hub, we seek to turn these numbers into an opportunity for Africa to become a global leader. Join us every Monday from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. only on Church of Uganda Family TV, as we take you through the discussion of different topics that will enable you to become world-class leaders and mentors, grow your finances, and become world-class innovators. Young and Flourishing, transforming Africa.
Ask yourself, how many titles or how many books have you read so far? Have you read even a single book? Okay, we start with the first things. Do you have even a single reading material in your house? Alan, you left that as a hook in our hearts before the commercial break. And I believe it is a challenge to very many parents out there, because I think there is someone who is now saying, wow, I'm the reason my child is not adopting the reading. Some parents read a lot of books from offices and they leave them there. When they go back, their children can never see them read, so they think it is okay. Wow.
Yeah.
So, another reason?
So, as I said, the upbringing is one of the reasons. I've seen, actually, in this now newer generation, probably kids start playing with a storybook.
Yeah.
You read him or her a story before bedtime. That is one way now to instill the culture in these young people. And so the other reason, probably how we can improve and or why we do not read is, I would say, because most times we complain about I can't afford a book. Yeah, but we grew up as in we went to schools probably that had libraries. We could actually, I could guess, like most of us even never touched a certain section of books. I would say, that is for literature students. I wouldn't touch, because for you think you're doing physics, mathematics, and biology. You'd think yours is only biology, but yeah, I'm a lover of certain different topics on books. Like if it is science fiction, I would love to go there, because it exposes you to a lot of different things. As in, I wouldn't want to concentrate on maybe if it is only science and technology. That's where. But if a child is exposed to different kinds of topics at an early age, it expands their outlook, or how they look at life, so that their view is not narrowed to a certain thing. If it is about history, let them learn about the history of Africa. If it is the history of Uganda, we of course we studied the geography, but when a child learns these things from the word go, they open up their brains to possibilities, to a lot of ways of how to think through certain situations, so that we are more of solution seekers than problem solvers, than actually just looking out for someone actually to come and solve. So when our minds are challenged, are expanded to possibilities, is that it helps us actually look for solutions, grow our lives in ways of problem solving.
Wow. That, So, Gerald, we are looking at how, now this is the gist of this program, how to build the reading culture and how to sustain it, because building it is one and sustaining it is different. You can build it and it stops at the wall plate. What about sustaining it? So what are some of the things, and what are some of the things that readers or upcoming readers, or those who would really want to adopt reading, what are some of the things they should do? One, to build the reading culture, because we are instilling now the culture, but then sustaining it.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. I'll start with actually what personally I did. I love reading, and I reached a point, because I had always been reading as an individual. I read, close a book, get another, close a book, get another. So I reached a point I felt like I should get other people on board and we read together. You know, when you read alone, There is a writer who said that if you want to go faster,
Go alone.
But if you want to go further, go together. Get a group of people and go together. You see, when you're doing something alone, you can only go so far. But when you get a community, when you get into a community or a group of like-minded people, you can go really, really further rather than just a step. Because reading, we must accept that reading is very difficult, by the way.
Yeah.
It is very hard. But when you have a community or a group of people, it becomes easy. So the example I want to give you is on 30th of December 2020, that 2020, that is close to almost 2 years back. Actually, we shall be making 2 years on 30th of December of this year. I started a group, a reading club. And this is basically on WhatsApp. We do all the reading and everything on WhatsApp. It's a WhatsApp group. So we invited members into the group. And so we get a book and we basically read e-books. Those are soft copies. I get a soft copy, put it in the group. Some people get hard copies and read along. There are people who like hard copies. People who don't do soft copies. There are people who do both. Like me personally, do both soft copies and hard copies. So we put it in the group and we are able to read together. So you usually see some members come up and say, you know, I've been struggling alone and now that I'm here with you, I'm able to push on. Or sometimes he sleeps or she sleeps and then later comes up and then she picks up. So that one really shows you that someone is able to move along with others when he's with them because of being in a group or in a community of people who are readers. So what I would say, how can people grow a culture of reading? First and foremost, environment. Get into the right environment. An environment of readers. It will support you, it's supportive, it will support you to read. You can't do it alone. It is very challenging. Or if you decide to do it alone, then get an accountability partner who will hold you accountable for reading or not reading. So it will help you.
Okay. Alan,
Yes.
I'm back to you. What should we do? One, to adopt the reading, but also to sustain the reading culture in us, Africans, Ugandans. Yeah.
Yeah. More to what Gerard was saying, that after you've gotten into an environment of readers, and probably you have also an accountability partner, this all will support you actually to grow along the journey. But on what I'd mentioned earlier about probably someone saying a book is costly, now there are several ways of actually accessing a book.
Those are the ones we want now.
Yes, now. So you can get a book through, as I said, an ebook. You can download these books online. There is a simpler way to download this book.
Free of charge, or I have to first pay?
Definitely, you have to have some MBs.
Okay.
Which is you load data, and it's a small website. You go on, type in a book you want, you get a book. Download it, 5 MBs, you have your book. These are the ebooks some of us have been reading. The charge probably is 500 shillings. You have loaded MBs like 50 MBs, and you're able to get like actually 10 books from these 50 MBs. So that is a cheaper way actually you can get books, and actually you get, if you're in an environment of reading, you'll be able to read these books. Or a friend has downloaded a book, maybe Alan has a book on his phone, I'll forward it to friends. I'll give it to a friend, please read this book. That is one other way actually books have been circulated around, and people are loving this. And the other way is you take this as an exercise, because one writer said that reading is to mind what exercise is to body. The way you want to gain muscle to gain biceps, going to the gym, running, it is it's the same rationale like you apply to reading. If you want to grow your brain muscle, you have to read. So when you attach an importance to this topic of reading, or to this habit of reading, you will actually push yourself, or through accountability partners, through a book club, you push yourself to make sure that you actually live or develop this habit of reading. And with time, let me say personally, my reading journey started way over like in high school, reading a few books here, Chinua Achebe, Things Fall Apart, Then a few books from Ben Carson, Think Big, Gifted Hands. Reading these stories, it opened up my mind to that. Even as a young person, I could actually look at things in a big picture, like plan my life probably ahead, or know that I want this in life, or shape a little bit of my journey until where I am today, that I can still read till date. A recent book that has transformed my life much is a book called 5am Club by Robin Sharma. It's a book, it has a subtitle called Own Your Morning, Elevate Your Life. Basically, it means that you wake up at 5 a.m., give 1 hour. He has a 20-20 rule. 1 hour to exercise. 20 minutes to exercise. You have 1 hour, so within 1 hour you have 60 minutes. So which means 20 minutes are for exercise. The other 20 minutes are for meditation. Then the other 20 minutes are for reading. So which means it has created actually more minutes for you to read. You have created more time, because most of us have a busy schedule.
Yeah.
I would understand a life of an employee in Uganda is not easy. You wake up, you want to run to town, you have to beat jam, get on a taxi or hop on a border. But when you reach office, it is task after task, task after task. So you find you cannot easily create time during your work hours. Or when you get off from work, you're exhausted, and probably people have families and they have to attend to maybe their children, give them time. So what you could do is you create an extra hour before everyone else is up. Which means you use this hour to exercise, to meditate, and probably read a book. Which means every day, if you're reading a book for 20 minutes, you can actually do probably 2-3 books in a month. So this is one way actually you can build the culture of reading and actually maintain it. After you've gotten books, let me say, if you can afford a book, there are very many bookshops around town. You can go and check out these books, skim through, as we said, skim through a book, find the book that speaks to you, and you take it home. Read it, it will transform your life. So,
Gerard,
Yes, please.
in a few words, you are a managing director, and very many young people out there would want to be the same, but they don't know the right books they should read that would give them some of the knowledge on how to be your own boss. Do you have any titles you can recommend?
Yes, I have
Please
a
do.
few titles that I can recommend. Personally, the books that I you know, just like we are discussing, there are different books that people have different books.
Yes.
There are people who, just like Alan said, there are people who love fiction books. There are people who love books about business and finance. There are people who love books about novels and stories. And personally, my taste is more about leadership, about business and entrepreneurship. Yeah, and let me recommend the book that actually we read last month. That book is called Startup Boards, and by Bradford. Startup Boards, it exposes you to the dynamics of a company, what happens within a company, and you know, how you start a company, within the boardrooms, what happens there. So it's a good book as well. And the other book I would recommend is The Lean Startup. Yeah, it's also a nice book by Eric. It's a good book. I can recommend it to people so they may read it. Then also, you know, when you start to read, there are certain things that you really need. You need like focus. You know, most people, there are people who start something and before you know it, they have lost gas, they have lost momentum. Yeah. There's a book that we actually read within our group. We read a book called Execution, the Discipline of Getting Things Done. It is by Ram Charan and Lawrence Bozity. It teaches you how to keep focused. You keep focused on what you start. You know, you follow through. It teaches you the discipline of following through. What you have started, you must make sure that you follow through till you complete it. Don't start and then you reach somewhere and then you
give up.
You give up. Yeah, you follow through and then till you complete it. Maybe that's what I can.
Wow. And before I leave you, what are your parting shots on this particular topic. Yes, of reading.
On this particular topic of reading, one thing I would really encourage all our viewers out there is reading opens your doors of opportunity, just like the way you can watch movies, the way you do all these other things is the same way you can read. But the importance of reading is that it comes with an opening of doors and opportunities. It broadens your mind, it exposes you, and you're able to see a world different from the world that others see. Thank you.
Well, Alan, recommend for us a title, at least, and then you give us your parting shots on this subject.
I recommend 2 books for someone to start with. That is Richest Man in Babylon. That is by George Clason. And definitely 5 AM Club. That is a book someone should also look out for. And then what I would leave for my fellow Ugandans or anyone watching us out there, reading is a discounted ticket to everywhere. As we had discussed before, as in you get to expose yourself to different literature, to different cultures, to different traditions. You learn different things. So this shapes most of your conversations, because some of us are research scientists, are research assistants, or even in our jobs, we need to improve ourselves every single day. Your employer, or you own a business, you need to improve yourself. Teach yourself how to manage finances. You learn how to manage your fellow workmates, or your fellow colleagues at work, or your employees. And it also helps you to put ideas together, because there are books who help you shape your conversations. Like, even as you talked about a book on negotiation by Voss, that book teaches you how to probably negotiate even business deals. So some of these books are shape most of our day-to-day lives. So please, let's move out there and read, and a day by a day, teach yourself how to read. Get a book to start from, and you will be surprised how much knowledge is hidden in these books. Thank you so much.
In order to be part of the purpose-driven generation, you have to read. This is Flourishing Hub, brought to you by Young and Flourishing Foundation. Edwin Austin Mukalazi is my name. Next on your screen is Issues at Hand. God bless you and have a good night.
With 200 million people aged between 15 and 24, Africa has the youngest population in the world. This can either be an opportunity or a ticking time bomb. At Young and Flourishing Hub, we seek to turn these numbers into an opportunity for Africa to be